Please don't. Yeah, please don't do anything that's going to embarrass me.
I breathed.
I think everyone would like your... Oh, I have to see if people even watch Outlander. It took me a while to get you into that. I feel like as soon as we're done with it, we're going to end up doing it again.
Hello, FNH Cat.
I love that you can read the chat now with glasses. So maybe I don't even need to be here.
Hey, Steve.
We're synced.
Great minds sync.
We just spent too much time together. Oh, Matt in California. Hey, Matt. Another Matt from Kansas.
Got a Russian.
Oh.
Russian or Ukrainian?
Hey, Chris.
That's hello in Chinese. It's in Cyrillic.
I don't even know what that is.
It's not Chinese. The writing is in Cyrillic. Texas.
Dylan. Hey, Dylan. Chris has a tattoo, never noticed. Chris has a few tattoos, actually.
I have a few.
That was actually his, the heart with my name on it was actually his first tattoo, yeah. What, 10 years ago, I think? So,
wow. Vegas.
Well, to any of you who get noticed on Facebook about Q&As, I apologize that it was late. Somebody's already let me know that it was late. If you guys are signed up for our newsletter, which you should, because you do get a head notice when we schedule Q&As, and I let everybody know on Monday that it was going to happen. But I actually wasn't for sure if tonight was going to happen because you guys have been waiting for a video from us, and I know you probably thought we dropped off the planet.
This has been a nightmare.
That video, I hated that video, so I really hope that you enjoy that video. I have been working around the clock to get that video done. I have had some computer issues. I need to get a whole new computer because it can't handle the software that I'm using to video edit. And then we got it done, and the YouTube wasn't cooperating with uploading, and I couldn't get it to compress, and I was up till 4 a.m. one night, and last night I was up till 1, and so I didn't know if I was going to be able to sit with you guys tonight and run the chat. I even offered to let Chris do it alone, but he said no. But I hope you guys have checked out the video, and hopefully
I think it's a very good video.
Hopefully it was worth it.
It just was a nightmare to do.
Oh, Matt said he couldn't make it to the Patreon live stream on Monday.
Did Brent come in yet?
I haven't seen yet. I was beginning to wonder. ... Yeah. It stresses me out when it's been that long since a video. And Chris, we filmed some more today too.
We filmed 2 today.
And he said to me, "Oh, these are going to be quick ones." And I'm like, "You have not given me a quick video in months." So as you guys have seen, these videos are 40 minutes to an hour long for the last few weeks. So even though it takes longer, it's a lot. I mean, the amount of photos that he puts into it, I mean, he really does put a lot into it himself. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Heather's favorite CCW handgun holster at this time. Uh-oh. You wanna answer that one?
What's up?
They asked what my favorite CCW handgun holster is.
Me. I've been trying to get her to get it. I've been trying to get her to get a CHL for like 5 years since we've been here in Texas.
Yeah. Somebody was talking about that.
She had a friend she was going to do it with it, but that fell through.
And then of course I was going to have Jason do it, and then
Jason passed.
Jason passed. I didn't really want to go to anybody else's class.
Nothing fancy's run times. Well, I try to give you information. I'm not running around and stuff like that.
So because I also did not, the newsletter people knew about Monday. I was supposed to remind them today, but I was still dealing with that video issue up until the final hour when it went live at around 3:30. I didn't get a chance to do that. So we don't have any submitted questions. Oh no, actually, Matt Matt did submit a question. I do have a question for Matt. So that's so far, that's the only question I have submitted. So we'll be starting off with a clean slate tonight. I'm going to pop down in the chat line a link that you can use if you'd like to donate during the chat, and you can put your question in the notes section. I'll get an email, and you will skirt the line and have priority. You can also donate in the super chat with the $sign. Google does take 30%, and but either way, we're happy to be here, and we appreciate you guys coming tonight. And hopefully my brain is still connected to my head after that video. Okay, Matt wanted to know if I put an HK MP5 Cartier, is that a Cartier? Thinking Cartier like the jewelry. In a PTR MP5, how will I figure out which roller sizes will work in it? Do you want to see that? So it's supposed to be Carter? It's like Cartier. I'm a girl, so I'm thinking of the jewelry line.
Okay. Basically, you know, I have the HK manuals here, which talk about which ones that you would use with the the roller. Because basically what that does is it gives you the time, the dwell time, whether using higher pressure ammunition, lower pressure ammunition. The delay roller system on an HK is not what you would call self-regulating. It does have issues with ammunition. You have certain ones that keep your bolt closed longer, some closed less time, and it's all based off of the geometry of that part, which is what the rollers ride on.
And I think this might be a connected question that he had. How does the MP5 roller delayed system work, and how exactly does the pressure equalizing cause the rollers to unlock after the bullet has left the barrel?
I have a video that explains that a lot better. There's the G3 video that I have, the PTR 91 explains that. And I have several. It's a little complex to get into here because basically you're utilizing the spring, you're utilizing the shape of the firing pin housing or that Cartier, or what you're calling that, and then that's what rests on the roller lock when it's fully engaged and locked. So as the pressures increase, it drives back, and the rollers give it that delay to allow that the pressures to drop. And then as the bolt unlocks, the firing pin housing, or what you want the Cartier, whatever you call it, that will withdraw. As that withdraws, it allows the rollers to move in to unlock. The system is robust. It is sensitive to ammunition if you don't have the proper parts in it. It does give you more recoil than the gas operated guns, at least in my opinion, as firing them at 9mm 5.56 as well as 7.62. But the delay roller system is explained in those videos in detail. I have diagrams in there and everything, so that'd probably be a better place for you to watch those videos.
This guy said he recently purchased a Remington Defense R4 RGP. He wants to know if it was a good purchase.
You know what? I have not had a chance to take a look at them yet. I've been trying to get one from Remington for quite some time. Remington, I've been trying to get both their standard direct gas and their external piston versions, and I have had no luck getting those rifles out of them. If I had to guess, there's probably a lot of DPM and Bushmaster in them because it's all Freedom Group. But unfortunately, I can't really give you an answer because I've never had my hands on one. I would love to get my hands on one of these Remington rifles to take a look over and see how they work.
Carrie's in. Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Carrie. I was just thinking, we saw Top Gun had a trailer at the last movie time we went to see Star Wars.
To what?
We saw the Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we thought about you. I know that's Air Force, but it's still the Flyboys.
I mean, I love Top Gun. I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan anymore, but
they should. That's one of those movies they should have just let go.
But I also really love Val Kilmer too, and I don't think he's in this one.
No, he doesn't look too good though.
No, he's been battling like throat cancer. But I think I'd still want to see Top Gun. I don't know. It's just so iconic.
I'd wait for it to come back. It doesn't really do anything for me.
I like it. Could you comment on the current Colt AR quality?
Well, there's not much going on right now. For as far as their production is concerned, it's they're filling back orders, and then after that, nothing until they decide if they decide they're going to bring them back to the commercial sales. You know, Colts always had quality. There's no question. I think their quality had decreased once they stopped making their own parts, which was after the loss of the contract for the U.S. government when they were still making all those parts in house. And then they started sending them out, outsourcing the parts. And when you outsource those parts, you're getting those parts from the same companies that everybody else is getting them from. So you're getting, basically the same micro best bolt carriers and all those kind of parts that everybody else is getting. That's not made to their technical data package. So they become more of an assembly facility than they are a manufacturer. I haven't heard of any problems with any of the rifles. The Python's a whole different ballgame. But I've never really heard of any problems with the rifles. My problem with them has always been that the fact that they don't make the stuff in-house anymore. You're not getting a Hartford Horsey, you're getting a parts gun. You don't get what you expect out of Colt or what you would expect out of the quote mil-spec contractor because they no longer build the same way they did back then. Myself, if I was to buy any Colt rifles, I would probably want to buy ones that are at least 4 or 5 years old. When they still had the contract, when they were still making all the parts in-house.
Have you shot the KP9?
Not yet.
Just so happen to have the time to make a comment. I'm not religious. However, God bless you, man, for preaching the knowledge you do. You're an American hero, no doubt.
I appreciate that. Very much so.
The gospel of the AR, the black rifle.
I do appreciate that.
I'm here for Chris to talk about his undying love for the 1911.
You mean the dying love for it.
Opinions on Surefire versus Streamlight weapon lights.
I've used Surefire. I don't think I've ever had any Streamlights in here. They're also top tier. There's not much difference between a lot of these companies. They all make really good quality stuff. But the Streamlight, the stuff that I've experienced from Streamlight, I have not really been that happy with. Because the technology seems a little on the older side. Surefire, on the other hand, is always state of the art.
What are your thoughts on 500 Blackout?
I've not seen the 500 Blackout yet. I mean, I know 300, but that must be something maybe new came out at SHOT Show. I'm not familiar with that one.
He might have asked it twice too, because somebody even said, "Do you mean 300 Blackout?"
Yeah, I mean,
best BCG, no LMT in stock.
Well, if you get I'm sure LMT has their standard mil spec bolt carriers, which are still extremely high quality. The LWRC is very nice with I love the way they have their one-piece system with the screw-in carrier key, which ensures you don't ever get any kind of a gas leak. I'm also a big proponent for the chrome-plated bolt carriers, even the ones that Brownells has, or the Smith Enterprises. For as far as the true advanced carriers, though, I mean, LMT is your biggest bet. The Landtac's not bad either. There's not a lot that's done to the to really enhance a lot of it. Now, speaking of that, I had a conversation with Carl Lewis last week, and he had told me that he does expect to be seeing on the website pretty soon some new production enhanced bolt carrier groups. Yeah,
because everybody's been asking about those. They're always out of stock with everything, right?
Well, they're almost fast as they make the stuff, it's
like
gone.
The top question I feel like that we get is, I would like to buy it, but I can't.
The faster they make the stuff, the faster it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you saw what they sold at Brownells over that holiday when they had that Starks, those things sold like freaking crazy.
Thank you. Thoughts on the 4x32 ACOG with piggybacked and/or 45-degree offset RMR versus red dot hollow with magnifier versus variable power optic for a 16-inch AR?
Well, the ACOG gives you the fiber optic, and the fiber optic is you know, that's gold because you never have to worry about batteries running out or tritium dying. Where when it comes to the hollow sights, you got to worry about a battery. You got to worry about temperature with those batteries. You got to worry about those batteries blowing up. You know that the fiber optic just gives you a lot of insurance if something was to go wrong. And then for as far as you know, the close quarter, you're better off, I think, having you know, your iron sights that will co-witness. You know, again, if you have a red dot on there, and that's what you're depending on for your cold weather, and all of a sudden you hit bad temperature or at an inopportune time, the battery dies. You know, you have no sights. So I definitely would say the ACOG is a better setup. It's a more tactical setup with a set of backup sights that are zeroed. That if something goes wrong, you can just flip those suckers up.
Thank you, Sean. He just made a donation on Donor Box. Thank you a lot. I don't see a question. Did you have a question tonight? I know you don't have questions anymore. He's become like a really like an expert. I think he's absorbed all your knowledge plus all that he had before. But
I still learn every day.
yeah,
I still learn every freaking day.
and people love to catch you.
Yeah, people love to catch me when I make a mistake
It's just
too.
spewing so much information that I would imagine you would say things that you don't mean.
That's one of the problems with people, any of us, any content creators. Oh, he made a mistake. He made this. He doesn't know what he's talking about. No, that's not the case. You know, when you're doing videos on several different weapons platforms, you've got all this information in your head. You know, it's not hard. It's not hard at all to have something slip out at the wrong time. You know, it's I mean, I've actually gone to the point where I use notes now just due to the fact that there's so much information on so many different platforms that you know it's impossible to keep all this stuff straight when you're working on so many different platforms.
Pablo, thank you. Thank you for that. Sorry for asking twice. No problem. It happens. People do it. But I'm glad you hopefully answered his question.
I hope so.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Brandon. The dancing.
I like that.
#1 fan. Thank you. Cheers on making such high quality content. You are the best modern firearms historian on YouTube. Such full information like a modern CN arsenal.
I appreciate it. Well, this is all I've done my entire life, you know, and as I said, it's my perspective is quite different from a lot of the other guys who are out there doing this. You know, it's you know, I've worked in this industry in many capacities. Everything from military, law enforcement, to training, to engineering, product development, product testing, international training, international sales, and small arms. You know, I've been around the block a lot with a lot of different areas. I'm not just a gun shop owner.
Yeah,
I don't own a gun shop.
For me, being with him since I was 18 years old and over 20 years, I would see him draw crowds at ranges. And, you know, he would have interesting things, and then that would kind of pull them over like, hey, man, what you got? But then he would start talking to them because they would have questions, and then they would then somebody else would come over and somebody else would come over. And I'm just like, you draw crowds at the range. It's crazy. So for me, it was like, how can we like make that work for you? Because this is what you love. But yeah, we've been together a long time. In fact, we were out to lunch today, and the waiter asked us if we wanted separate checks.
I've been married to this lady for 20 years. She's the one that got the money to give the bill to her.
Matt on Donor Box. Thank you, Matt. I've noticed the weld marks on the PTR rifles look to be more sloppy than other MP5 manufacturers. Does the weld quality on the PTR upper mean that the durability and structural integrity are inferior to other options? I fired over 20,000 rounds in 2019 through my Tavor and LWRC. Going into 2020, I want to shoot more and spend less, so I'm going down the 9mm rifle route. Is the PTR MP5 a good option for someone who wants a well-made 9mm rifle?
Absolutely. I don't own a PTR MP5, but I own the PTR 308. You have to understand that these guns are not they're not lookers. They're not you know, beautifully made works of art. These things are spot welded together. Especially the HKs. That's why I always wonder how the hell they get the price tag for them, because the way that they're made. You know, it's relatively sloppy. But I have to say, I've reviewed the PTR MP5. I sort of understand what you're talking about, but I will tell you that you can count on PTR's their quality, no issues. You will have no problem with that gun whatsoever. The integrity, the structure, those guys have been doing this an awful long time, and they know what they're doing with it. So they're just not cosmetically pleasant guns. When you look at the way they're made with all the with all the weld marks and all that stuff, they're just not. That's the nature of that beast.
Thank you, Steve. I'll be looking for your questions if you have any tonight. No, Carrie, I have not shown him this. Carrie sent this to me today that he just got today, and
you will love that. And if you go into small arms, no, that would be there was an article I did on that for Small Arms Review, but I think if you also go on Manta's webpage, you'll see a review that I did on that. And there's
tell everybody what it is that we're talking about.
Yeah, but what he's showing you is the suppressor sleeve from Manta. It looks like a giant. I'll say that.
No, it does not. Wait, what are you?
The ribs and everything on it.
We're going down a dark path.
It's the Manta suppressor sleeve. When I first started looking at stuff, I was testing it. I was out at Dan Shea's place out at in Vegas, and I got a suppressor. I installed one of the Manta suppressor sleeves on it. I took 3 magazines, full auto, as fast as I could pull the trigger. So 90 rounds as fast as I could remove the. Well, I'm sorry, it was fast as the magazine lasted. It was full auto. 3 magazines. I was able to hold the rifle by the Manta with the suppressor with the Manta cover on it. That is the degree of quality that these things are. Now, are they as aesthetically pleasing as some of them? No. However, they hold the Mirage much better than anything else that's out there. They don't melt. The other thing is too is if you're in a situation where you're carrying and moving and it's hot, you're not going to burn a hole through your $100 tactical pants with that on them either. But there's a review that I did, and there's the written review I think is even on Manta's website where it shows the testing I did on all of that stuff. But those suppressor sleeves are absolutely incredible. They do make your suppressor a little on the bulky side, but they don't burn. They work excellent. They keep that Mirage down, which is important.
Matt on DonorBox wants to know, what is the status of full auto guns in USA? Is there any way to get a full auto gun that isn't pre-banned? Tom Bostak said the full auto G36 can't go to private hands because there are no pre-ban ones. And somebody else had asked too in here about what the G36 controversy is too.
The only way that you can really do that is to become an SOT, and you have to get demo letters from a law enforcement agency that you're demoing those for sale. In order to be able to have that stuff, you have to be able to prove to ATF that you're involved in the commerce with law enforcement, military to justify you having them. And also as an SOT, you can build them as well, like what you see Tommy Built doing. You build those up, you can build them full auto as post-ban guns on your SOT. Other than that, with the NFA Act, nope. If it wasn't in here by 86, you ain't gonna get it unless it's a dealer sample for law enforcement or military use.
Thank you, Josh. What are your thoughts on PSA?
Well, I've talked a lot about them over the last year. For the longest time, I couldn't get anything from them. I just started getting the stuff from them around I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, 6 or 8 months ago. So far, I have reviewed the KS47, the PS15, the AKV, and right now I got one of their PS10s, PSA 10s, 308. I have been incredibly happy with everything they put out. Everything I have seen from them put out is extremely fine quality. It is as good as anything else that's out there at an incredible price. Looking at all of them, the KS47, for instance, the one that takes the AK magazines, that sucker outperformed the CMMG, the LAR 47, and the WMD, the Wyndham, the Hydra, basically the MGI Hydra, the Wyndham Weaponry MCS. It was superior to all of them. All those ones that are probably 3-4 times the cost. This thing was more reliable, took more magazines, and it was more accurate. Then you look over to the PS15, cosmetically beautiful, except the barrels are nice. I tried it. I would have preferred to have manganese phosphate on there so everything looked, colors, matched. But that's cosmetic. For as far as fit and function and accuracy, it was excellent. The AKV, this was the version 2 that they corrected the problems, and that sucker went through ammunition like it was nothing. There was no problems whatsoever. It worked great. The 308, I just got a new upper receiver from them. The upper receiver I had from them, there were some issues with that particular batch of barrels. So I sent that back. They sent me a new one of a batch that was proper, and I'm looking forward to taking that out. They are really doing a lot. They've done a lot to bring the Second Amendment to bring people quality weapons who don't necessarily have a lot of money to spend. You shouldn't have to make a lot of money to be able to to exercise your Second Amendment rights. They give extremely high quality guns at a price that your average person can afford.
Beach Bum, I'm sorry, I totally just saw that I missed your question. He wants to know P10F optic ready or Beretta APX optic ready.
The APX, let me look this one up, that one for some reason. I'm thinking of a rifle. I could be wrong. Again, sometimes I gotta jog my memory.
Oh, it's because he has so much.
What's that again?
It's AKC. Is that what you're talking about?
APX.
P10F optic, Beretta APX optic.
Okay, I see what you're talking about. I have not had any experience with the Beretta optics yet. I'm not sure who's making it for them. Obviously, Beretta doesn't own an optics manufacturer, so I'm not quite sure. So, unfortunately, I can't really give you a lot of information on that. I've been utilizing the Trijicon, and I've been utilizing the Razor, the ones by Vortex, and with a lot of good luck. The Trijicon, there were some of the earlier ones that did not take the abuse from a pistol. They weren't designed for a pistol. They've been placed on them, and then they got their shit together, and they build proper ones now that will take the that abuse. I've only got a couple pistols so far that I've put those on. I am looking probably to get some more different ones to test on some other pistols.
Thank you. Button broach versus cold hammer forged.
Well, that is a really interesting scenario because there's a few of the manufacturers who I've done consulting for. We approach those exact same questions. Now, if you look at the button broached, you're looking at the barrels that are written into the U.S. mil specs for the M16. Now, if you look at the mil specs for the M249, that's a cold hammer forged barrel. Now, the way this really worked was Rock Island Arsenal would never approve a cold hammer forged barrel for the M16. And the reason Mr. Brunton gave out at Rock Island was the fact that the leading edge of the button rifle, the button type rifling or the button broach rifling, that leading edge is what gives the barrel that much more accuracy than anything else that was up there. That's why the M4 M16 barrels were as accurate they were. Is that leading edge makes a big difference. When you do a cold hammer forged barrel, you're using a mandrel, and it is not possible to do the same kind of leading edge that sharp in that particular way. So the accuracy was always slightly better with the button than it was with the hammer forged. Now, would you notice that? Well, unless you had a very high power scope on it and you were shooting for extremely tight groups, you probably wouldn't notice that. But that was the story that Rock Island had, and they stuck to it. Now, getting to the cold hammer forged barrel. The cold hammer forged barrel, I do believe, is more durable because of the fact that you don't have those sharp edges. They don't wear as fast. So you do get a slightly longer service life out of them. They're a lot better on the full auto. You have less metal stress in there. Myself, my go-to barrel would be a cold hammer forged chrome plated barrel, which you see DeMaco. You'll see several companies that do make those. FN making them. If you're primarily looking to punch paper and you want to get as high groups as you can, definitely the button. For a combat rifle, I think you get a slightly better performance out of the hammer forged barrel because of its life. The precision shots that you would appreciate the button rifling for. I don't think that you would really see that in the real world. You really would have to be shooting tight groups, I think, really to see that. But when it comes to the longevity, that's why you see all these heavy machine gun barrels are all cold hammer forged, because it's a stronger process. Then you add the chrome on top of that. It is a stronger barrel.
Matt on Donor Box wants to know, can the weld marks on the PTR get cleaned up by a gunsmith to look more appealing like the AK option?
It's not worth it because just to do that cosmetic, then you have to spend all the money to, uh, to refinish it. The reality is it's a tool. I know it's when you spend that kind of money, it's hard to understand that it's a tool. That's what it's designed for. Is specifically as a tool. If you look at the real HKs, the real HKs are not any better. I mean, you still see the same kind of weld marks and all that kind of stuff. You do see that, and if you want an aesthetically beautiful gun, unfortunately, that's not going to be the one you're going to be looking at. Is those HK roller blade systems? What it would cost you to try to polish those try to polish those down, then to have it refinished. I think you'd be spending a lot of money for something that's just not it's just not worth it in my opinion. If it's what you want, by all means, go for it. But to apply that heat to those welds from polishing, that's probably not such a good idea either.
What do you think of the Desert Tech company, and what do you think of their updated MDR rifles?
I was talking to Henry Chan about that right before the holidays. He's going to be getting one of those in that I'm going to be doing a review on. You guys have known that I'm not the biggest fan of bullpups. The thing that concerns me most about those is the way that it ejects out of that tube. Unfortunately, all I can see is dirt getting in that tube and clogging that tube up, and that sucker not being able to eject. So that's something that bothers me. You can remove a piece, and it prevents that from happening. But the way that it ejects through that tube is just something that I have a problem with. And so, as I said, Henry's working on getting one of those, so we will have one. I've called them to try to get guns, and I've had no luck.
I figured you needed something to
Yes.
strike. Brandon on Donor Box. Thank you, Brandon. He says, is there anything at SHOT Show that you've seen or read about that has really caught your attention? And then he said, thanks for all you do. And someone else in here too said that SHOT was a waste. The only thing that was really out was some AKs.
One of the things that I saw that I'm really, really interested in is the Bren 2 carbine. Absolutely. I have to say the Colt Python was something else that I'm excited about. We're still excited about. I'm hoping that they get their shit together on that, and I hope that turns out to be a winner for them. The Glock 44. However, that's led me to be a little bit on the concerned side as well, with seeing 5 different places where you've seen slides crack on those and extractors break. My buddy Brandon from the gun room, he's brought me back a whole bunch of literature and stuff as well. I'm going to be starting to go through some stuff. I've already put down on a list some of the guns that I want to take a look at. Waiting to hear from you guys also. What interests you. From what I understand, there wasn't really a lot of new stuff there. And I sort of was expecting that due to the fact that you have a lot of stuff going on right now with legislation, and I don't think a lot of manufacturers want to get put in a position to put out all this money for new products and have this stuff banned, and then they can't make it. They lose all that money on it. So that was to be expected. Now there's some ammunition I'm certainly going to be looking at. Hornady's got some new stuff out that looks pretty good. Black Hills, as usual, they always put out some new stuff. SIG, I'm interested in their 308 tread. That's their first attempt at a internal piston or direct gas version of the 308. So that's one I'm definitely looking to jump on. So there's definitely some, but as I said, I'm really, really impressed with the Bren 2. The one that I have here, you haven't seen that one yet. That one's got close to 3,000 rounds through it. I'm doing a 5,000 round test on that one. And Henry's got it right now for a 9-hole review. He's doing a big thing on check guns. So he's going to be using that on his channel as well. And I'm curious to see how he does at the longer ranges with it. I was up to 100 and I was extremely happy with it. And that barrel is definitely well worn in now. It's a sweet, sweet gun. It's very, very well made. The recoil impulse is it's a pussy cat. And in all those rounds, I fired 1,000 rounds through without cleaning it, and it was dry also, and it worked really, really well. So I'm looking forward to the carbine coming in. The one I had was a 14.5-inch pistol with the pistol brace on it. So that's what I'm looking at right now.
Back to the optic question for Beach Bomb. He's clarifying it. I guess you didn't understand what he was asking. He said, what I meant was, would you choose the CZ-P10F optics ready or the Beretta APX
Oh,
optics ready, both 9mm pistols?
okay. I'm sorry about well, the APX that I had. If you see the video, I had some issues with it for as far as ammunition compatibility. The APX that I had, it appeared though it was set up for plus P ammunition. There were some ammunition I had problems with it cycling, even suppressed. Um, so I can't say as I had as good of an experience with the APX as I did the P10F. Quite frankly, I'm a Glock guy when it comes to that. If you want a striker fire gun, I have a Gen 5 with the MOS on it. I have the this optics ready, and I have a Gen 5 Glock 17. I have a Glock 41, 45 also that I have that. But if you're giving me those two to look at, I'm probably gonna say I'd be looking at the CZP10F. The APX, like I said, I mean it was nice and all, but when I had the problems with the ammunition, with that reliability, uh, especially since that some of this ammunition I've used in many guns with, never had a problem.
Thank you, Eric. Out of a 14.5 mid-length, what BCG would you recommend for the 2020 warfighter? And he says, thanks, love your channel.
Well, again, if you want a enhanced carrier that's going to take care of a lot of things, especially with the 14.5-inch barrel, it's going to be the LMT. That's definitely the one. I definitely would recommend that you have the rubber O-ring on your extractor. That to me is always a must. There are some other bolts that certainly wouldn't hurt. The Reliant bolt, that's certainly it's a decent one. JP Enterprise has a good enhanced bolt. So you do have a couple other options, but I got to tell you that there's nothing out there so far that has beaten that LMT enhanced group, especially for that 14.5-inch barrel. That's what it's designed for.
Matt on Donor Box wants to know what is required to convert a full auto HK SEF. Lower your semi-auto. What parts wouldn't have to get replaced? Are the rest of the HK parts, like hammers or springs, still able to work in a PTR MP5 after its semi-auto conversion?
The biggest part is you have to have the proper trigger pack, and you have to be able to install the trigger pack. And generally, that is the one with the push pin. If you can install that and have the proper bolt carrier in there, that's really all there is to it. But again, in order to do that, you got to be an SOT where you can create a machine gun. Now, can you do it with the semi-mac only receiver like the HK91 or HK93 or HK MP? You can, but it takes some doing. We did some conversions when I was working at a crime lab in Milwaukee when I was doing my training for a firearms examiner. Me and the guy that I was training with there, we had a whole bunch of stuff come in from destruction from Milwaukee PD, and one of them was an HK91, and the guy had the trigger pack kit and the carrier. So we fiddled around for a while. We were able to convert that sucker to full auto at the crime lab. So I mean, if you know what you're doing, it can be done. But generally, with the PTRs, you don't have you have the one where you put the proper push pin in. And also you can find pre-86 trigger packs as well, so you can legally convert the rifle as well.
ASIM Solutions, thank you. Will you do a video series on AR-15 barrels like you did on the bolts and the bolt carriers or other parts? It helped a lot.
Well, barrels are a lot different because there's a lot more that goes into them. The various materials, the various finishes, and how they're used. There's a lot more subjectivity to them because it's not the bolts. The only way you really wear a bolt any faster is heavy full auto fire. That's really your only major wearing point on a bolt carrier. Barrels very different. The wear on a stainless steel barrel versus a chrome plated versus a hammer forged. There's just a lot of differences. Different gas systems. It's different. The one thing I have thought about doing is a fire control variation type where you show the different types of hammers, triggers, disconnectors. They show how all those different ones. I have thought about doing something along those lines. So I've been, showing some of the firing pin type stuff there. I mean, I do have a decent collection here of a lot of those kind of parts that'll show, different systems. Show, the burst mechanism, the full auto mechanism, the open bolt mechanism, uh, the semi-automatic only, different variations, and most of the stuff is Colt. Colt is the one who pioneered this rifle, and Colt is the one that has a lot of different parts. They have a lot of different fire control groups in the semi-automatic alone. It's not like everybody else who used one basic fire control group and that was it. Colt had iterations where you had, the hammer with no notch in the front, and you had the M16 hammer, and you had the M16 hammer with the auto sear hook cut off. Then you had the 170,000 diameter, then 155 diameter hammer trigger pins. There's a lot more parts where when you get outside of Colt, not so much. Same thing with bolt carriers. Colt, if you look at bolt carriers, that's something I could certainly consider doing. Colt has a lot of different bolt carrier variations over the years between the full auto and the semi-automatic only. They have quite a bit of that, where if you go to somebody else, they only had one. They may have had a semi-automatic only one that has the exposed firing pin head for use with that anti slam fire mechanism, but most of them are using standard M16 carriers, so a lot of these variations refer a lot just to Colt.
For a Select Fire MP5, would a nitride barrel from HK Parts be more durable than an HK CHF barrel offer? Let me start that over. My brain's not working very well tonight. For a Select Fire MP5, would a nitride barrel from HK Parts be more durable than an HK CHF barrel? Does the extra cost of the HK CHF barrel offer any advantage in durability?
Oh, absolutely. The HK barrels have this unobtainium French steel that HK uses pretty much solely, which is an incredibly it's really a proprietary blend for this ordnance steel. Second of all, the barrel is going to be cold hammer forged, and then they very well may be chrome plated if you can find something that may even be chrome plated. But even without the chrome plating, that polygon rifling and everything, you're going to have a much more extended barrel life than you will with any nitride, button or any other broach cut type barrel. With a 9mm, or you're not having that high velocity, that's one place where I think the HK cold hammer forged barrel, the polygon type rifling, will last you a lot longer. And not to mention, you want to make sure you still have your flutes in the chamber too. I imagine if it's meant for an MP5, with the flutes in the chamber, even on the American one. But no, that's one place where I got to say, the HK barrel would be better.
Shadow Hunt, thank you. Speaking of PSA, any interest in their SHOT Show offerings? The PS9 DAGR, their $300 Glock clone, the new AKs with CHF barrels, or the JAKL. And somebody else was asking about the PSA's AKs too that were at SHOT.
Yeah,
sounds like people are excited.
I have not really looked at the PSA's AKs yet. It's something that I do plan on after I finish up with this 308 and send that one back. I am going to be requesting both the Jackal as well as the DAGR dagger for the PS9. I'm interested in both of those. The Jackal really has got me interested. So you will see quite a bit of PSA on this channel this year. Now that I've met up with Josiah, I got him his contact information. I will have no problem getting anything out of Palmetto State. So you will be seeing this stuff at some point. AKs as well. AKs. I just got an email today from.
People want more AKs. We need to get some more on the channel.
I just got an email today from Rifle Dynamics that probably within the next week or so, I will have one of their AKs to review.
He likes them. He doesn't hate them.
I know. I like them.
Well, somebody asked that last week. They thought that you didn't like them, but he doesn't.
This one here, I'll be doing the tabletop and just a test fire, and then Henry's going to be taking that and doing his 500-yard review with it, which I'm curious to see because he's done some good work with AKs. If you guys saw his video he put up today with the VZ58, that's my VZ58 by the way.
Oh, 9-hole.
Yeah,
9-hole.
What he made that VZ58 do was unbelievable. The guy who knows what he's doing. I mean. He's not like your average soldier. I think your average Czech soldier is not going to be engaging targets at the distance that he was. He definitely knows how to make these guns do what they're supposed to do. So, I'll have him. I'm curious to see what he's going to do with this at the 500 yards. I mean, we're looking at Krebs and we're looking at Rifle Dynamics as the Cadillacs of AKs in the United States. Krebs, I'm waiting on a 9x39 gun from him. I talked to the guys at Silencer Co. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a suppressor around the same time as this comes in, so we'll be able to fire some of the 9x39 suppressed. So you will see some AKs. I will.
We are going to be filming a new crime series too.
Yes, and that will be with the Tech 9. Also.
We have to get some new boxes.
Yes, we do.
We have to pay for those boxes from Brandon.
Brandon's got those, so
yeah.
Buy them.
We have to. Your donations tonight go.
Yes, your donations tonight are going to go to buy us some more evidence boxes for our Crime Lab series.
Boxes for the Crime Lab series.
And this one here is the Tech 9. It's that's also on loan from 9-Hole Review.
They're great at swapping guns out.
We are. As I said, we work very well together.
Because it's not like it's the same stuff.
Our work complements each other too, because he does something that I don't do, and I do something that he doesn't do.
Yeah.
Now the AB10s or the Tech 9 series, it's a very interesting gun.
Somebody says, "Oh yes, Tech 9 video, looking for."
Very influential when it comes to banning guns. In fact, it was banned.
You can't talk about it.
I'm not.
Just save it for the video.
It's she has spoken. Say no more.
What have you heard from? Wait a second. I gotta. Did I get this one? No, I did get this one. Okay. What have you heard from the Army's current weapons trials? Aside from the logistical problems facing adopting a new round, is it a possibility? Will the Army really move towards a 6.8 rifle and a 338 LMG? Have you seen or heard of any new rifles in M855A1 in the Army trials? And what is the viability of any of these being accepted?
Well, for as far as the Army trials for the M855A1, there is no current requirement for a 5.56 rifle to replace the M4. So that takes care of that one immediately. SOCOM has adopted the SIG machine gun that fires the 300 or 338 Norma Magnum cartridge. That has been adopted by SOCOM. Now, the stuff that's going to be happening with the 6.8, this is not going to happen overnight. This is going to take some time. There's a lot of things that have to be proven here. First of all, the gun's got to go through, their environmental testing, their durability testing, and all that destructive testing. They're going to be doing this right. This isn't going to be a XM17 gun where you're just going to pick one based off of price. You have some different technology here with these guns, so they need to do their due diligence to see which one works. And again, this is a major undertaking. This is not modifying an M4 product improvement program. You're looking at a whole new weapons platform with all the whole new logistics, the whole new training. You're looking at equipping an entire military. So until I actually see the Army adopt it, I'm not going to get too excited. How many times over the last 50 years have there been programs to try to replace the M16 and M4? ACR program, SCAR program, the PIP program, the individual carbine program. They have been trying to do this for years, and look where they end up. So they're definitely moving forward. There's no question. But until that time comes where I see the contract done and Congress approve the purchase, I'm just not going to get too excited about it.
Did you say that you got the Tech 9 from Henry?
Yes.
See, I missed that. And then somebody typed it in there, and I was like, surely you didn't get it from Henry. They were shocked, too, that Henry would have a Tech 9.
Henry likes a lot of these different kinds of guns. He's got a good selection of sort of the oddball stuff. I've also got a P38 from him as well that I want to be doing a video on. P38, some of that older stuff that I'm just not normally into, but the P38 is a very influential gun. So no, it works out quite well. Works out very well.
Carrie says he sent us a nice donation on Donor Box and said he didn't have a question, but he said he's trying to help out, but he's also trying to secure his buying into his slot for the SAS Invitational Range Day. I love that you're trying to buy into the channel, Carrie. That's awesome.
Carrie, by the way,
he has something he wanted you to see too. This is a suppressor on his XCR.
Yep. By the way, Carrie, I spoke with Alex Robinson Monday. Yeah, I think it was Monday. And we reaffirmed he's going to be getting me out some additional stuff to try some new calibers in both the XCR M and L platforms. And I got some lowdown on the M86 expeditionary rifle, or his version of the Stoner 63. He is looking to build a small quantity of them. I guess they are difficult to build. But that is going to be moving forward. The other thing I'm looking to get from him is a new upper receiver for my XCR that's got the M lock, and the M lock just pisses him off. He hates doing those because once you put the M lock, the segments in there, you can't pull the barrel out to change it. You have to actually remove all the segments so you can pull and swap out your barrel. But no, I keep on Alex regularly because we're looking to do another series with the L and the M. This time I'll have Henry more involved because this is going to be more of the accuracy end of it. The videos that I did previously on those were the mechanics of it, changing out barrels, showing the reliability with various magazines and various ammunition. That was how the first two videos were. These ones are going to be on the two's accuracy and changing out calibers. For instance, I want to take the XCRL, for instance, and we're going to do accuracy testing with the 5.56 300 blackout, 760 by 39, and hopefully a 6.8 SPC or 6.5 Grendel. Then do the same with some different calibers with the 308 and actually get accuracy with them. So I want to do some more work with his XCR platform.
Carrie said that's totally awesome.
It's a good system. You know, Alex is a good guy. He's a smart guy. He does good work.
What do you think Smith Enterprises chrome carriers are better than other options? Why do you think that they're better than other options in the industry? What does Smith Enterprises do that makes their products high quality?
The machining, the chroming process that he uses, his experience. He's been making these things for the last 50 years, 40, 50 years. He's a Vietnam veteran. And during the Vietnam War, he was making those for the XM16s and for Colt. Made him his replacement parts. He has a lot of experience in building those and building military-grade bolts and bolt carriers. When you do look at, Smith Enterprises chrome carrier versus any other ones that are out there, you will see the difference, the quality difference in the machining, as well as the quality difference in the chroming itself.
Is the B&T parts for HK on par with OEM H&K? Their barrels for MK5 and HK91 claim that they are built to HK OEM spec. Do you know if this is true?
I really don't, because I haven't shot any of their guns or had my hands on any of their guns. That's not one of those companies that I have difficulty getting parts from. I have messed with the PTRs. I have messed with the actual H&Ks for as far as the Zenith and the B&T. I've just not had any luck getting any of those. Another gun that I've been trying to get my hands on is the Zenith, is their version of the HK93, the 5.56 version. Again, that's a company I just can't get anybody to take me seriously from to get anything out.
Do you have any thoughts on the Tommy Built G36 clones?
Yes, you'll see a video coming out that will be featuring that in a few weeks. We have shot them. I have shot it. That's the one that I use. I'm using the G36 video because obviously I can't get my hands on a real HK G36. I had conversations with the guy at Tommy Built about what he does and everything. If you want a G36 in the United States, he's your only game in town. He's the only one making the upper receivers and making a lot of those components. That is your only shot if you want to get one. Now, the one that I tested here, the G36 as a rule is not that great of a rifle for as far as accuracy. That I shot that one at 100 yards, even closer range. Henry shot that. You're looking at a 2 to 3 MOA gun. It's just the trigger on it is horrible. The gun is, it's well made. It's your only option if you live in the United States and you want this platform. But I can't say anything bad about the rifle that I had here. The rifle I had here was basically built as a German, the German G36 German Army issue. It had all of the actual Bundeswehr features on it. I didn't care for the Bundeswehr dual optics at all. But the gun, it was reliable. I had no reliability issues. It shot good enough for a military rifle. It does get hot awfully quick, but if you want one, that's your only option. But it's done well. He does get a lot of money for him, but you have to look at what he does. This guy puts a lot of money in to build his own parts, in the U.S. where you can't import them from Germany. If you can find an SL8, you can use those parts and do a conversion. If you wanted an XM8, he even does an XM8 version, so you could have an XM8. Um, I think he does very good work.
Why did the Army not go forward with the LMT bolt carrier in the PIP program?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. The PIP program, the way that the PIP program was done, they wanted something that was going to be a significant leap in technology. Now, they basically went off of the M4's 6,000 round endurance test. So they tested all of these enhanced bolt carrier groups from all these manufacturers to 6,000 rounds and said, well, there's no significant leap in technology over the current standard, which is true because 6,000 rounds is what the military tests to. Those bolt carriers would have done wonders if they would have gone 12, 15, 18 to 20,000 rounds. The Army didn't test that high. So since it met their specification, they stay with the with their current one at 6,000. Now, if you want to go back into the early global war on terror around the 2003-2004 time period when Carl Lewis developed an enhanced bolt carrier for SOCOM, there was a couple things that happened. First and foremost, the bolt carrier that Carl designed did everything that SOCOM wanted it to do. First problem was that it would not function properly in a full auto rifle, the M16A2, A1, A4. Due to the way that the pressure curves are on there, you would cause excessive bolt carrier bounce, and it wouldn't work. But it was designed specifically for the 14.5-inch barrel. And it did what it was supposed to. So you didn't have that backwards compatibility. Was one. And number two, Colt would have whined about that and said, "We have the sole source on the M4. You can't do anything to that gun." And they could have prevented Carl from selling those to SOCOM. Well, which is exactly what they did with the SOCOM barrels for the Mark 18. Carl developed that barrel, and he was building some of them for SOCOM. Colt found out. Colt said, "We have sole source on the M4. You can't sell anything," and Colt was able to cut him off on that from being able to sell those to SOCOM.
Recommendations on flash hiders. I currently have a VG6 Epsilon, and I'm thinking about swapping with an A2 flash hider or the VG6 Delta FH. Is it worth it to swap, and are there better options?
There's much better options. Well, first off, the VZ is a muzzle brake. It's not a flash suppressor. So it's going to be totally different in the way that it works. The best flash suppressor on the market is the Smith Enterprises Vortex. Of anything that I've tested, and we've actually done, when I was working in one of the crime labs, we had a camera set up where you would be able to do that. You'd be able to measure the flash and all that kind of stuff. And I had done some of this personally as well. Nobody was able to even really come close to what the Phantom was able to do, the Vortex, the Enterprise Vortex. So if you're looking for something for a flash, I would definitely go with the Vortex flash suppressor for the AR. Now, for as far as the A2 compensator, it does a little bit of both flash suppressor and being a compensator. It does both good, neither one great.
Richard says that Canadian legal G36 are over $9,000, $9,000 and up.
Yeah. Anytime you put HK's name on something like that, you're going to be giving up your firstborn. It's just the way that it is.
And he says FNP 90s are also legal and are restricted the long barrel and are 9,000 plus as well.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Well, same with our NFA guns here, the full auto guns here. Unless you are rich, you're not going to own a full auto in this country. That's the one thing that the NFA did, was it basically made it so only the elites can have those kind of guns, which really sucks.
Tony, thank you. You think Bushmaster ACR can be revived?
The gentleman out at Templar has done a lot with the ACR. He's done a lot to improve handguards, to improve lower receivers. He's making barrels. He's doing a lot of things that Bushmaster should be doing. Now, for as far as it being a completely brought back, I don't know anymore, because Bushmaster is not making any of them anymore unless they get X amount of in an order. It's not something they're going to be making in stocking. They're the ones that people are going to have to order. It's very, very sad. I like the gun a lot. In fact, my ACR has been at Bushmaster now for 3 months because I had an issue. I'm doing doing another review on it, and I was able to get my hands on a 6-8 SPC conversion, Well, unfortunately, when I would fire the 6.8, the magazine would release by itself. So I had to send it back to them for them to figure out what was going on, whether it was an issue with the magazine spring or if it was something else that was going on with it, because it didn't do it in 5.56. So I will tell you, Bushmaster's customer service sucks. They can't tell you when you're going to see something or when it's put in line. You can't get anything from them at all. People that you talk to don't even know. All they know is that it's in repair and it's will be done in turn. But when I do my review, we're going to be doing a lot with Templar also and showing some of the things that he's done to update it. It was a damn good system. It just, they picked the wrong company to partner with.
Matt on Donor he wants to know if you could have one gun that hasn't been brought into the U.S., what would it be? That's a good question.
A Soviet AN-94.
Mm.
That would be it.
I like Carrie. He says,
Heartbeat, hands down.
Carrie says a direct quote from H&K is, "You suck and we hate you."
Mm.
That's what they say to the consumer. KG Catfish, thank you. Is the 6920 SOCOM a combat grade rifle?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the 6920 is the current combat rifle with a 14.5-inch barrel. If you look at the current M4 that's being produced, the standard M4 is no longer in production for the U.S. military. They're all M4A1s, which are full auto, and they have the heavy SOCOM barrel. The heavy SOCOM barrel corrected all the issues that they were having. Well, again, the fact that the people were having problems with them in Afghanistan and Iraq were trying to use the gun for something other than it was designed for. It's not a light support weapon. It was designed for rear echelon soldiers who were not engaged in direct combat. The M4A1 heavy barrel, the SOCOM barrel, should have been when they adopted the thing as a general purpose rifle. That's what it should have been. So, absolutely, the 6920 is an ideal combat rifle with the SOCOM barrel.
Justin wants to know, can you please share what you know about Sabre Defense? Our M4A1 lowers are made by Sabre with Colt uppers.
Well, Sabre Defense was out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Now, the original, I don't know about the ones that are being made now, but the original ones, Sabre Defense was really known for a lot of their 50 caliber M2 machine gun barrels and so forth. They got a contract to build M16A4 rifles for the military. The contract that they got was based off of a small business, meaning, Colt was a big business, FN was a big business. They were giving a contract to a small business, and somehow they were able to get it. Well, as you know, there was a lot of problems with the owner having carts or containers with false bottoms that were being shipped from the United States to England with a whole bunch of full auto Sabre Defense lower receivers on them. So ATF didn't like that. They did some investigating, and a lot of people went to jail, and they had to sell the company. At that time, I just went to work for Otis Technology full time, and Otis was looking at potentially buying a weapons manufacturer. So they rented a private plane, Otis did, and we flew from New York to Murfreesboro to take a look at this place. And when I got there, I immediately advised against doing it. When I saw what the quality was there, it was terrible. All those M16A4s that they built there, they built nothing in-house. They bought from government, basically government contractors, people who manufacture parts for the U.S. government. I mean, my God, it was like the pin punch type writing on the receivers. It was terrible. The rifles, the quality was just absolutely brutal. Now, they were bought out, I think it was by Mandicore or something like that. I forget what the name of the company is.
You're looking at me like I'm going to confirm
July.
Yes, actually it was.
I'm trying to remember what the name of the company is that bought them out now. But I can tell you that the barrels for the M2 machine guns were shit when you compared those to the FN barrels. You were like 2 to 3 times the life on the FN barrels. They had no intellectual property. Literally, they had no intellectual property. So if you were to buy the company, you're not really buying much. You're buying something they reverse engineered that wasn't theirs. So the new company, I don't know, but I can tell you the company as of around, that would probably be around 2010 when this all went down, 2011 when this all went down. So no, it was it was not high quality stuff by no means.
Joshua on DonorBox, thank you for the donation, Joshua. If you have a question, please let me know because I didn't see one in here. You can also email it too if you want to email it.
Thank you.
If you guys ever have questions that you don't want in the chat, or you just want an email response, you can use that link on smallarmsolutions.com and put your question in the notes section, or just send me a separate email and say, you know, I want to put pictures, or it's just really long or whatever. And we do that 7 days a week. We do that.
I see this one where you're quick at picking out trolls. Yeah, she's a troll sniper.
Oh, well, you missed it. I also kicked our own daughter out.
She was heckling?
No, Sophia just tried to, you know, drop in and, like, you know. And then they were laughing at me because Carrie was like, is that your daughter that came in the chat? I said, not anymore, because I blocked her.
Disgraziale.
That's my job. Matt on Donor Box, thank you, Matt. What barrel would you recommend for a select fire AR carbine that is between 13 to 16 inches? What length and what profile would you recommend?
I would look at a 16-inch mid-length gas system, or a 14.5-inch mid-length gas system, preferably 16-inch. And if you can find one of a medium profile, you don't want pencil, you want something of a medium profile. And I would probably recommend like an FN type barrel that's cold hammer forged with chrome plating. And also make sure that you have your gas block or your front sight base drilled and pinned in place for volatile fire.
Cajun Catfish says Heather can snipe trolls in Afghanistan from her kitchen table in Texas.
That's right.
That's right. Damn straight. This guy says, nice parenting skills. Yes. Take out my own child.
No idea. My God.
Well, she shouldn't be in here. Unless you can add something about guns.
Oh, she's only 40,000.
Somebody came to him in the grocery store one day when she was with him, and she came home and she's just like, oh my God. I came up and said, are you Chris Bartacci? And like shook his hand and everything. And yeah, she was. And
she still thinks I'm a loser.
She thinks both of us are losers. That's her job as a 16-year-old. Thank you. Has Remington 870's quality changed 1990s to now?
I don't think so. You know, this has just been a staple for Remington for a lot of years. You know, I think what's hurt Remington is the fact that, you know, shotguns have left police cars, you know, in favor of patrol carbines. So they don't make the quantities that they once did. But, you know, Remington, I don't think anything's changed really at all. You know, they've always had their various grades. They had the premier grades. They had the blue, you know, then they had the express, where you had more of the matte Parkerized type finish. I still think, for as far as pump action shotguns, it's the tightest, most well built of any of them that are out there. You know, again, I only own one shotgun myself, which is the Benelli M1014. But if I did prior to that, I had a Benelli semi-automatic. Prior to that, I had a Remington 870. I was basically a regular old 870 Express slug gun with magazine and tube extension on it, and I used that. But I don't believe so. Remington, that's a stalemate with them.
Gary says, remember, 16-year-old girls know everything. Just ask them and they'll tell you. Oh, yeah, no, we're idiots. We know nothing.
All I get from her is this.
Having teenagers is one of the hardest things in the world. I think Chris would prefer to be in a wartime zone.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You know, the funny thing is, you know, you have when they're young, they're awesome. You know, they love you and everything. Then when they start thinking you're an idiot and you don't know anything, and you know, tell you how much of a bastard you are in 10 years' time. No, thank you.
He's never. First of all, our daughter's never called you a bastard. I mean, I'm sure it's coming at some point, but she hasn't yet. At least not to your face.
No respect.
David wants to know, what do you think of the KUSA AK clones announced at SHOT Show?
Don't know yet. That's one of the ones. You know, again, I've heard you guys say you want to see more AK, so we will. So we will be getting some of these in.
Print 2 carbine and 30 cal. Is it going to happen?
Don't know. You know, the thing you have to understand about that is what it's going to take to do that. You know, you can't bring the rifles over here without having X amount of parts being made in the U.S. to comply with 922R. That's why we've had the pistols coming in from the Bren 2 without too much of an issue, but not a carbine, because the pistols come in as a pistol. They can have all the parts made in Czech Republic. But the carbine they have to have, that's going to have I don't know how many parts for that specific rifle, but American-made parts. So that has to be set up here. So the same thing's going to have to happen with a 308. They're going to have to set up here to make those parts so they can bring in whatever parts they are from Czech Republic, then assemble them here and use the American-made parts. So I think that's where I do believe it'll happen. But for as far as how long, I don't know. It's just a little bit more complicated than than just bringing them in because of the import bans and so forth.
Yeah, our donor box wants to know, based off the specs released with the Geisley barrels, what do you think of them? Stainless nitride is an interesting take, but will it be more durable than other options?
I still, for military grade barrel, would prefer hammer forged chrome plated. I haven't seen enough yet with nitride yet to see if it is military grade. I do have some guns here that I've shot. I haven't had enough rounds thrown to be able to say that it's as good. I do have some people who I think very highly of that say that it's as good, but I'm not seeing any specifications change from any military so far that I know of that have gone away from the standards, mil spec uh, of manganese phosphate type with chrome plating.
Are the barrels used on USGI M4A1 by Colt and FNCHF or button broached?
Button broached. The U.S. government will not accept a M16 or M4 barrel that's cold hammer forged. That has not changed yet. Even though Lauren's gone, he's retired from Rock Island. He was the one who stood in the way. It's still not. It's authorized for the machine guns, but it's still not for the rifles.
Do you think the XCR is the best rifle of all time?
The XCR is a good rifle. I'm not gonna say it's the best of all time. It hasn't had its chance to prove itself. The XCR has got no battlefield experience. Alex has really only messed around with them on full auto. They've never really even been, really put through full auto. Durability, reliability. The rifle has a tremendous amount of potential, but it hasn't been realized. Unfortunately, until you get into a foreign country and you start looking at weapons replacement programs and you start competing those rifles against other countries or other manufacturers, other high-end manufacturers, you don't know what the gun's capability of it is. Now, as a commercial rifle, it's beautiful. I think it'll be a great law enforcement rifle. But in order for it to be determined if this is true military grade, Alex has got to go way above what he's done right now to prove that. Again, you got to do that. It's a lot easier to make a semi-automatic rifle than it is a full auto. So that's, first of all, something he has to work on, and then again, he has to go through all these endurance tests, reliability tests, and destruction tests to see where the gun stands.
Adnan wants to know, could the M203 grenade launcher for the M4, M4A1 carbines be attached without having the slats on the sides of the barrel?
Not a heavy barrel, no. The only way that would work is if you had a free float barrel with a handguard that was strong enough to be able to accept it. What the slats are for are the standard mil spec one where you have the rear. It has a half moon shape where that slides up and it goes back and it slides into the barrel nut, and it has a locating pin on the bottom of it, and that's what locates it into place. And then you wire and attach it from the front. So if you have a heavy barrel, you have to have that slat so it will go over it. And basically the way Carl Lewis gets around that is his doesn't attach to the barrel. His attaches to his MRP system, where he has that solid rail. So he puts one that attaches to the 1913 rail. As long as you have a rail on there that's strong enough, you can use one that attaches to the rail instead of to the gun.
Captain's orders. Thank you. Thank you for the never-ending supply of wisdom. I rarely get a chance to shoot, but I have a Troy 308 12.5 inch, and the gun has major extraction issues. Shop tried tuning it up with no luck. Should he get a new BCG?
Well, with extraction issues, it sounds like you have a gas port issue. To be honest with you, it doesn't sound like it's a bolt carrier issue. It sounds like the thing's major overgassed, and that you got a lot of high residual pressure in there. So I think your problem is going to be the barrel itself. The other thing that you might want to try also is taking a look inside to make sure there's no tool marks, that you don't have any rough edges in there, because having rough edges or even rust that can cause that brass to flow into those and all those little nooks in there that are caused by the corrosion or the tool marks. That can cause it to be welded in place. Take a look at your cartridge cases. Make sure you don't see any marks or striations or anything like that that would indicate that there's any kind of burrs inside of there. But if your extraction problem is primarily like it's ripping the rim off of it, those are your two issues. You either have it's overgassed, which means that it's trying to pull the cartridge case out while the cartridge case is still operated or still expanded, and that means you have too much gas going in there. Something you might want to try is an adjustable gas block on it too. If you tone the gas down and it's still having failures to extract, now's when you're going to have to start looking at, do you have a rough chamber? Do you have corrosion in the chamber? Do you have tool marks in the chamber?
Steve wants to know, are you aware of issues with the 308 PMags dropping freely from Aero Precision M5 lower receivers?
No, and I've had them in plenty of Aero M5 lower receivers. I've had plenty. My guess would be that your magazine your magazine latch is not tight enough. Maybe you need to go a couple more turns on it. I have never had that happen, and I've had several M5s. I've never had a problem with that at all, unless the rifle wasn't. If you have the magazine latch not tight enough, it can bounce when it fires, and that's what can release it. So you want to make sure that that's tight so it doesn't bounce. But yeah, I don't see any reason at all that would happen.
Thank you, Chris. Do you think the day of the single designer, Stoner, Browning, Peterson, Kalashnikov are over? Are you aware of any genius designers presently?
I know two. One, his name is Mike Brown. He was the designer of the AdCore Bear. We haven't seen much from him, but I do believe he's one of them. And another one is Robert Faxon. These are two guys who were not gun guys who have designed very successful, durable, excellent weapons platforms, who were able to design something because they weren't gun guys. They were able to start off with a clean sheet of paper and to do things the way things always were. Those are two of probably the smartest guys that are out there. Robert Faxon, he's built, you see the ARAC. And again, Mike Brown, he started his own company, ME Products. I've seen, videos of some of his guns that he's designed, but unfortunately I've never seen any of them come to fruition. He designed the Bear, which was one of the finalists in the individual carbine program. Now, you can't compare the Bear carbine to the crap that's being put out by AdCore today. Once he left AdCore under very horrible situations caused by the owner of that company, they made a lot of changes to that rifle, and they were not for the better. But the version that he built was the one that competed against all those guys in the individual carbine program, and was one of the finalists. Those are two guys who I believe very strongly in. There are some other ones, but these guys work together. You look at Chris Royce. He's a Caracal now, but he was with SIG. You look at Robert Hurt. That's another one. Colt at one time had a lot of awesome people. Colt has Art Daigle. Art Daigle, he's a guy in the model shop, which he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant if they would listen to him. The engineers at Colt, if they listen to him, he's excellent. You got some innovators out there like Mike Mars out at M&M. He's somebody who I think very highly of as well. You see, it's those guys who are new to it, who didn't start with preconceived notions, and they just did it. They did how they thought the problem would be. Because for the most part, I was talking to a gentleman. He's a guy who's a friend of mine. He was the designer at Colt of the LE901. He was also on the M4 program. He was brought back as a contractor to develop the CM901 and LE901. And Larry said, he goes, I'm an engineer. Today I could be building toasters, and tomorrow I could be building guns. He goes, I look at everything as an engineering project. It doesn't matter what it is. I need to know what something's supposed to do, and that's what I make. But here's another guy who's brilliant. There is a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of people who steal stuff out there, but to have Stoners and Brownings, people who have been utterly groundbreaking like that, I haven't seen too many of them.
Back to Steve's question about the PMags dropping from the Aero lowers. He is asking, is the magazine about the magazines where they're getting stuck and not dropping freely? Question mark.
That is a tolerance issue, a stack of tolerance issue between the magazines and the magazine well. I have seen guns where it doesn't matter what magazine it is. I have had some where magazines would fit in some rifles and not in others. You have a stack of tolerance. Today you have a magazine well that's on the highest end of that tolerance. And then you get the magazine, which is on the highest end of the tolerance. Those two go together, they don't work. You have one, you have a magazine well that's on the lower end of the tolerance, a magazine that's on the higher, it fits. So that's not necessarily a specific magazine that's causing that. It's the stack of tolerances is between the magazine versus the magazine well. And that can happen with any whether it's a steel magazine, a aluminum magazine, or a polymer magazine. It doesn't make a difference.
Thank you, Seaberg. Thoughts on S&W Governor? Home defense, is it a home defense option?
I have no idea what that is.
Do you want to look it up?
Yeah, I have no idea what that is. Let's see what we're looking at here. This is another company I want to start getting a little bit more in from too, is Smith & Wesson. The lady I was dealing with is no longer there. Wow, $860. Oh, so basically it's a revolver that fires 410, 45 ACP Schofield.
That's what Sean just said. Sean's saying 410 pistol for HD for the same price you could get a Kinetic or Glock.
Yeah, for the price of that, I would be going with more of a 9mm, a 40, or a 45. You know, a lot of that ammunition, you do have a lot of higher recoil, especially in a revolver. Reliability, if you have somebody who is not accustomed to an automatic or semi-automatic pistol who doesn't know how to use it, it certainly is a good option. You know, if you look at some of these calibers, the 45 automatic, you're stuck using a moon clip for the most part, so I would not be going with that. If you look at the 45 long Colt, on the other hand, you have some really good defense ammunition that's out in 45 long Colt. 44 Smith & Wesson, you have some really good defense ammunition. That's a good option for somebody who, as I said, they don't want to go out to the range and shoot. They want something that's very, very simple for use for self-defense. You know, you pull the trigger, you know it's going to work. That specific pistol I'm not familiar with, but I'm familiar with, obviously, with the concept of the big bore. When you start dealing with 45 auto, most of the time you're looking at having to use, you know, one of those circular clips because it's a rimless cartridge.
We have a gentleman in here from Denmark. He was asking if we ship T-shirt stickers and other merch to Europe. We don't personally handle the shirts and all of that. I do stickers, but I usually ship them to like Canada and stuff. But we do have a store on Teespring, and there should be links underneath our video that has some of our merch available there. And they do have stickers and hoodies and T-shirts and long sleeve stuff. Mugs, all of that. And I just checked for you, and it says that it does ship internationally. So you could go check out the Small Arms Solutions store on Teespring.
I don't know if you're the same guy, but I trained your Army on the LMT M203 grenade launcher about 5 years ago when they bought them from L&T. I went over there and did armors and operators training for them.
Awesome. Thank you, Parker. Opinions on Hodge Defense rifles?
I haven't asked on that in the past. I had put a phone call into them, but right before the holidays, and had not heard back from them yet. So this is one I'm trying to get in. I just haven't had any luck yet. So you know, I will follow up with them and try and get one.
Okay, guys. Well, I think we're going to shut it down for the night. Thank you so much for joining us. If you guys have questions after the Q&A, we do that 7 days a week. You can use the link on smallarmsolutions.com and put your question in with any donation, $3. We do that. Usually takes a few hours to get back. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. I love Egypt. That was beautiful. I was there about 3 or 4 years ago. Got to go through Giza and Old Cairo. That was awesome.
Yeah, you've been able to travel to some amazing places.
Old Cairo was awesome. It's almost like time forgot it. And of course, I was the only 6'2" white guy with a bright orange shirt there, but they were very welcoming. Sat down and smoked shisha with them.
Chris has always loved that prison orange. It's like his favorite color is orange, but it's like burnt orange, no, prison orange, like neon day glow, like the guys in the fields orange.
Yeah, I like one.
And he has gotten shit for it for years.
I love orange.
He's had hoodies, he's had shirts. Yeah, that's a fun fact about Chris. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Yeah, good night.